So today I have a very interesting watch to show you guys. This is CIga Design. CIga Design are a brand that are located in, I believe, China, who make some very interesting watches using some very interesting components and materials. They've actually won awards for their designs, and some of them are like the Design Award right here, Design Award 2021. This watch was actually designed by Paul Cohen. It is meant to look like a black hole. It's actually a very interesting watch. It's very well made, and it does use some very interesting methods to get this sort of point across. So let's look at it. It comes in awesome packaging. So the packaging is very, very cool. This is meant to look like a book. So you get metallic side to it. It's not an actual book, but there are pages to it. So when you open it up, on the inside it just says measuring the boundary of black hole with time. And then there is a picture of what looks like a black hole there. And then there's a bunch of information on this side about black holes and all that stuff. You get a watch and a strap. So this is just a little insert that is made out of, I guess, plastic. It's just see-through plastic, and it's sort of centered on the watch, which is really nice. And then on the back of the book or box, whatever you want to call it, there's actually information on the designer, Paul Cohen, right there, and it's just a little bit of information on him. And then CIga Design, and then you turn the page again, and then there's more information. There's more information on the operation of the watch. I think that's the last page. Yes, that's the last page. And then specifications. So you can see here, 46 millimeters, 13.7 millimeters thickness. We'll do all these again with my calipers just so that we could make sure that that is correct. But here is the watch. So I'm going to take it out of its little packaging. So they do this, and a lot of brands do this. They take the watch and they put it, basically the different components, into different little sections, and then you have to put it together. So it's a little bit of a project. When you get your watch, put your watch together, and then we will take a look. So there you have it. So this is the stainless steel version. They made this in two different versions. I believe there's two. There is a black PVD coated version, and then there is a stainless steel version. You can see there is a little sort of jewel in the crown. I believe that is made out of plastic, but I will double check that. And it's just inlaid into the crown, and it's also meant to sort of look like the halo, I believe, around a black hole when you're actually taking photography of it. And it looks pretty cool, as you can see, and it also feels nice. So everything on the watch definitely feels nice. It's an automatic watch, and you can see that because you do get a sweep second hand. It is a little bit hard to see because you do have that sort of black dot that is printed on the concaved sapphire crystal. So this gets a concaved sapphire crystal, and it's actually, I think it picks up pretty well on the screen. You can see that it does reflect a lot, and you can see that also the CIga Design and the signature of the designer, Paul Cohen, right there, sort of disappears in certain light and then reappears as I move it around. And I think that's obviously intentional. They used a silver sort of printing on top of the black, so it actually just sort of disappears in certain light. Again, black hole theme. It is a see-through watch, so you can see through the entire watch. The hands are a little bit curved. The actual minute hand right there is curved up, and then the hour hand just has a little red tip on it, and then there's the seconds hand ticking along right there. It is a little bit hard to read, as I mentioned, but this is sort of a novelty watch. It's not something that you're going to wear every day. It's something that you're going to wear on occasion, and I guess the whole point is that it's sort of a conversation starter. It's something that is not going to be your first and only watch. It's going to be something that you're going to be using sparingly because it is something very, very interesting. It also gets sort of a very deep chaptering, as you can see, and that's really what the dial is. And then there are indices that go around there. I don't believe any of that is lumed. I think only the hands are lumed, but I'm not even sure of that, so I'm going to do a lume shot at the end, and we'll check that out. Now, the case itself is basically a barrel case. It looks like sort of just a circular case, but you do have these very, very small lugs on here, if you can see that. And in the profile, you can see that the crown has like sort of a tube that actually goes to the case back. There's sort of scalloped edges here. It's a very interesting case design. There's brushing on the sides, and then on the bottom of the case is bead blasted. It's like a satin finish. You get a screwed-in crown here, screwed-in case back, excuse me, and the case back just has some wording on there. I'll do a close-up of it so you can see that. And then, of course, you do get a automatic movement. This is a Seiko NH05. This is essentially a ladies movement. So it's a very small movement. And the reason why they went with this movement is because they want to actually hide the movement, but at the same time have the ability to make it a clear case. So they had to choose something that was very small. They went with something very reliable. So it is Seiko movement. However, this movement does not hack. So it does hand wind. However, it does not hack. So you do get a push-pull crown. There is also a ghost date position. So this gets two positions here. There's the ghost date and then the time position. So that's a little bit disappointing. I wish that they went with something that actually hacked and something that did not have a ghost date position. But I think they probably were limited in the number of movements that they can get and probably in the number that they needed to get to be able to execute this. It's an interesting concept. Maybe they should have gotten something that could have worked. There could have been a hand wound movement this small. But then again, I don't know price-wise how they would have been able to do this. Also, there's sort of like an inlaid piece of glass that goes around the movement as well. So I think they had a plan. So this was the movement that actually fit. I would rather a Seiko movement over most other movements that could have been used, like a seagull movement or something like that. So I'm very happy they went with a Seiko movement. It is not signed, and it's not the best thing to look at, but it is actually pretty interesting, and the elements that they've added around it make it look pretty interesting. The strap is basically a generic rubber strap. It's kind of not matching the watch, I don't think. They should have at least signed the strap. The strap is not signed. I don't think this is because this is a prototype or anything like that. It should be signed, especially when you're considering the amount of detail and attention to detail that they put into the actual case of the watch. And the buckle's a little bit disappointing as well. It's also sort of just a generic buckle. It's a very nice buckle, but it's still, again, not signed. I wish it was signed. Again, in keeping with the watch itself, it would make a lot of sense. Signing the rotor, signing the buckle, definitely adds a little bit more of a air that it costs more than it actually does. And then there's no signature on the strap. I know these things don't really matter in the long run, but it's just little details that I think that they overlooked on this part of the watch. Everything else on the head of the watch is really very detailed. Kind of funny that they didn't do that. All in all, a very good looking watch, and I think a very interesting watch. But let's do measurements, and then we're going to throw it on my wrist, and we'll do a lume shot. We'll also talk about price, of course. So size on this watch is an interesting sort of measurement, because if you're measuring it right at the top of the bezel, you're getting 44 millimeters. Now, they said it was 47 millimeters, and that's because if you measure it from the back, that's where it's the thickest, the actual case itself, and you're getting a 45... About 45 millimeters is what I've measured a few times. So I don't know where they get that 47 millimeters. And then the lug to lug is actually very, very good. It's smaller than the actual case, because you can see that the lug actually lines up with the case. So really the lug to lug has to be measured at the case, and it's about 45 millimeters because it is a circle. But if you're measuring it at the actual lugs, it's less than that. It's like 42 millimeters. So this will wear pretty nicely on your wrist. Now, the crown is a little bit small considering the size of the watch, 5.3 millimeters, but it is very grippy because of the design of it, and you have a lot of area to actually use the crown, because there's this whole scalloped edge on each side, so it's very, very easy to operate the crown even though it's a little bit smaller. So the design of the watch is and again, I said this, the design of the case of the watch is excellent. It really does. It looks a lot more expensive than it is, and it looks just very, very interesting. So thickness on here is about 13.8, 13.6 millimeters thick. It's kind of odd because you do get a concaved sapphire crystal. So That is very, very different. I believe the back is a mineral crystal. The front is a concave sapphire crystal. One of the first watches that I've ever had on the channel that actually has a concave crystal. It's a little bit of a fingerprint magnet right in the center of the watch because of that black. So when you do get a fingerprint on there, you will be able to see it. Otherwise, it's pretty decent with fingerprints because the entire case is basically brushed or bead blasted. So it's not that flashy, I guess you can say, but that sapphire crystal is actually kind of flashy, so it does add a little bit of bling to the watch itself. So really quickly, I'm going to throw it on my wrist, and then we'll talk about price. Before we do, let me show you the watch that I have on my wrist. Today I have my Ventura. This is the MGS Spark, a very weird watch. I wore this because this is also a very weird watch. You can see together they look like you know, two peas in a pod, but very interesting watch, very weird watch as well. Very quickly, let me show you the CIga design on my 7.5-inch wrist. Now, the strap that this comes on is very comfortable, and it's very nicely made. It's just not signed, and I want it to be signed. When you're getting a watch like this, even though it's not a very expensive watch, usually these are pretty affordable watches. You want something that has a little bit of attention to detail throughout the whole entire watch, even the strap, and I wish that they did that. Now the strap does match somewhat the case, but if it was signed, I think it would look a little bit cooler. And there it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. It does wear like a 44mm watch. The lug to lug is short, so you're not getting any overhang or anything like that. It is a large watch, but it does sit down on my wrist pretty well. Thick watch, I'm saying. That 13mm is kind of deceiving, as I said, so not that bad. So very quickly, let's talk about price. So the price on this is $279, and that's what they're asking. I think they're doing an Indiegogo for this watch, and usually all of their watches fund. Not only do they fund, they overfund, so usually they fund very well. And they do very good. And so if you are interested in this watch and you want one, it will get made. It's $279 in the stainless steel version. They're also doing a titanium version. I think it's $100 more. You can get it PVD coated. I don't think they're actually charging extra for that. So this would be in black. You can get a black strap also, sort of going with that black hole theme. I think it's really cool for $279. It's something that is a conversation piece. It's something very different, something very unique. And considering the price, as I said, it is very well made for that price. And you could definitely overlook things like the strap, because you could actually change the strap very easily. I think that's the only thing that lets this watch down. I also wish that they didn't put a go state position, but again, for $279, it's not that terrible. Considering the sort of unique design that you're getting here. So very quickly, let's do a lume shot and then wrap up the video. So a little bit of a missed opportunity here. They only lume just the tip of the hour hand and the tip of the minute hand. So, you know, if they put a lot more lume here, it would have looked really cool because of the fact that you can see through the watch. And if they did that, maybe it would give a little bit more of a glow effect. Considering the depth of the watch, the layering that they've done here, maybe some lume on that chapter ring, which is very, very sloped, basically the dial of the watch, which just is that ring that goes around the outer portion of the case itself. If that was lumed, this would glow really interesting, would look really good. But lume is expensive. $279 is a very good price. Maybe in a future watch that would be cool. But you get a tiny bit of lume on that hour hand and just a tiny bit of lume on that minute's hand. It is two different colors, so it's like an orange color on the hour hand and then a minty green on the minute hand. Anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. I think a lot of attention to detail was paid definitely to the case and the design of this watch, and I could see why they win awards. It's a really well-made watch with a really cool design. And I think it's the packaging in particular is really, really nice, especially considering the price. $279 is kind of mind-boggling that they can do the packaging and still have a really cool watch like this from a designer, and you know, give you all of this for $279 is a really good price. But tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel. and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.